Welcome to Wannabe Game Dev Week 5. I'm sure you had a look at my new intro animation. I've got variations of those, they're on the screen now. You must let me know which is your favorite and we'll implement that as the channel's intro video from now on. That was a fun experience. I thought it would take me more than the one day. It didn't, luckily. I had a lot of fun. I haven't done motion graphics in a hell of a long time. You know what they say, it's like riding a bike with anything really. So that was a lot of fun. I mean, I did get snagged on one or two little things, but I'm not going to go into the details about that. Also, I created a new base terrain for the game while bringing over all the other elements that I'd created previously. So feeling quite happy and confident with what I've created. I think stopping where I did last week was the right move. Very happy with the way things are turning out. Building a terrain in this way opens up a whole new range of tools to use to create something a little bit better. The actual base environment is somewhere in North America. I'm not 100% sure where. I'll make sure that the website I used as well as what I actually did, because even though the tutorial I'm going to share with you was very good and it helped get me there, there were a few little things that you need to do in order to make it work that I didn't feel like the video covered, just because it was a live stream that they turned into a tutorial video. So I'll be sure to explain that a little bit later. Let's have a look. I was able to work out how to generate terrain using a geographical information and a bit of Photoshop, and even though you can find a tutorial in which they help you, let's get a bit of a different one, I didn't quite like it. There's some little things that you can do that I didn't get told at first to make your experience a little bit better, because I had to work out some stuff before I was able to make this work. So this is what I had previously, so it will help if you have Photoshop. If you don't have Photoshop, I don't know, it's going to probably be a bit more difficult. Okay, it's this one. So firstly, you want to make sure you 1024 by 1024 bits when you get started. You'll size up, I like to just do this, you'll just size up your image so it fits inside your frame. So I've elected to go for a slightly rivery mountainous area. You go and you create a Gaussian blur. A moment. 7 pixels seem to be pretty good. This was after a bit of trial and error. This seems to be the thing that seemed to work out the best for me. Let's change it up a little bit. Let's make it a bit more. Let's make it a bit more. No, I think I liked what I had before. Okay, so now this is the thing I struggled with. It needs to be in a very specific format in order for you to make this work. Firstly, before you even get started, make sure you're working in a grayscale color profile and you're working at 16 bits. Otherwise, the file will not work. The next thing is that it has to be a PNG, but not in the save for where PNG. It has to be, so you can see I've had a little bit of trial and error trying to get this to work. It only really started to work from terrain image 1B because I was having issues with the bitrate and the color space and all of that wonderful stuff. So I'll try and remember to put up a list format wise what you need in order to recreate what I did. So we're going to call this one image final because this is the one we are actually going to use. Okay, so now it's completely grayscale, largest file size as well, completely grayscale, 16-bit, and it is save as a copy and then a .png. Okay, so now what we do is we go to import from heightmap in the terrain creator, and now we're going to look for terrain final. Okay. And then with these, you can adjust these. This is to do with hold on, what's a tooltip? So the voxels are your different height variations. So this, I didn't actually change any of these, although for now I actually want to change this up to 3 to see what the difference is. Okay, so this should be changed the height quite differently. Yeah, so there are my valley walls. This is exactly what I wanted. When it generates your terrain, it's generally going to do it quite above where your standard work area, so you're just going to have to bring it down just a bit. And now it's using up a lot of my terrain memory, but I think it's okay. So let's give it a test. And now if you look, I have a very large mountainous area, and from this, we can apply something so that basically, depending on the height, will determine the material, what the material looks like. So let's quickly do that. Where are my materials? Core content, materials, and this is under your terrain. Terrain. Okay. So we can go for mossy concrete, snow. Let's try the snow first. You'll see it creates different textures depending on the height and the slope. I mean, if you wanted to, you could do something a bit more crazy and futuristic. I'll probably do grass. Make it, because it's going to be the first sort of area. Well, we won't make it too inhospitable. Maybe cliffs are better. No, cliffs are quite nice. And the nice thing is in this as well is once you get here, you can actually change your voxel spacing. So if I take it to 10, you can see it's sort of, well, I feel like it's actually made the terrain look a little less tiled and a little bit more organic, a bit more realistic. Well, it only did about 50, but let's see what's in the advanced settings. Okay. So yeah, let's have a quick preview. It's using up a lot of my terrain resources, but I mean, the way I see it now, I just need to put in I just need to populate this world with some bushes and some trees, and already, to me, this is infinitely better. With the right sort of placement, I'll actually channel the players. So already I'm feeling a lot better about everything so far. Way better, way happier already with the results. I mean, this is, you can have lots of people ambushing. Maybe we'll even get some ranged creatures attacking from up high. The potential is endless. So already feeling a lot more positive. I'm just going to save this and then, oh, okay. I'm going to save this and, ooh. Okay, you see, my complexity is a little bit high, but I think as long as I don't add any more terrain elements, I should be okay. I do have 12 megs to work with here, but I'm feeling a lot more positive about this. Ooh. You see, also, my max players, if I take this down to 2, oh, okay. Okay, I actually have to increase the amount of players in the game. Went about it the wrong way. So this will allow me to make a more complex terrain. I could probably redo this and make it a little less complex. But we'll see how we go. Let's see. Oof, no. Oof, crazy. See, desert's quite nice as well. I must say, I do like the desert, but I think the grass with cliffs is very good. I like the way that looks. So I'm going to leave you there for now, once I work a few things out and check this, but yeah, feeling a lot better. this is my new map that I've generated that I showed you guys a bit earlier, but you'll notice it's looking a little bit different. I'm going to show you why this terrain editor is so important. So once an object is considered terrain, it opens up a whole new bunch of options. If you look over there, you can see sculpt, which is actually almost like if the ground was clay, you could build it up or bring it down. So I created some natural borders, although that I'll probably have to smooth that out. That doesn't look great. But just to give you an idea, oof, wow, that really doesn't. I will smooth this all out. But I built up these rock faces over here, because if you ran that way, you could have actually run off the edge over there in the distance as well as there. I mean, I'll probably, as time goes on, I'll refine those to look a little bit better. Then there's the paint. So with this, you can actually select areas and you can paint over. And you'll notice that if there's an angle change, you can choose what materials you want over those surfaces. So for your steep sort of hill walls or your flatter areas, you can have sand, or it's called, I think it's called Desert Sahara cliff face. So, and I've got different variations of those as well. And then here's a slightly more built up one. So I haven't really edited those the way I want, besides the base material that I've done, but by using creating a terrain paint preset, it actually follows the contours of the land and applies the right material to the right areas. So that in itself is incredibly powerful, because when I created other kind of texture, you would have to rely on pre-made 3D objects, and I really wasn't happy with the way that looked. So with this as well, with that you can increase the strength of your brush as well as the size. I mean, if you're ever stuck, it's always good to look at the tooltips. Foliage. This is great. This is really the tool that I'm enjoying the most at the moment. So let's add a new piece of foliage. Let's get something that will stand out quite a lot. I'm going to get something very bright and colorful. Maybe coral's a good way to go. Just something I can maybe just remove later. Or flowers. Let's do flowers. Flowers are cool. They should stand out fairly nicely. Let's do this one. This one looks very fancy. Okay, done. So with your base preset, you'll notice at first some minor issues. So I mean, in the real world you would never see flowers growing on hillsides like that, but with some minor adjustments you can make it a little bit more realistic. So 90 degrees is pretty much straight up like a wall. So if we aim for something a little bit more realistic, say 40 degrees, that the absolute maximum that a flower can grow in this world is on a 45 degree angle of a 40 degree angle of hill. This makes it a little bit more realistic. Another thing is that they're all the same size. This, you could, if you wanted to, not that I condone this, you could have flowers up to 10 times their regular size. I actually kind of like that, to be honest. But now there's just way too many of them. So something you can do is distance between foliage instances. So 1 every 10 meters, a little bit excessive. So let's aim for something more along the lines of 90 meters. I think that's going to be a little bit more realistic. You see, and now every now and again you'll see a flower they're in the areas they should be. They're going to be varying in sizes. So perspectively, they're almost the same size, but you know, that's obviously a lot bigger. And then, yeah, so created some paint presets, was able to, you know, pick out some numbers to spread them out in the world to have it seem fairly natural. And yeah, this is what I've discovered this week. You know, I feel like this is a lot better, and it's a fraction of the work. So I'm feeling a lot happier about life in general with this new terrain that I've created. Yeah, I mean, even with these, you can even change the materials. So if you wanted to go for something a little bit more sci-fi, you could play with the randomly spawned flowers as well. One thing though, I would suggest you don't need collision for all of these randomly spawning items. Let's actually give this a try. So I don't think this has, yeah, you could run right through it. Collision, so that includes gunshots. I mean, I can't run through a wall. Depending on what your item is, I mean, it won't react to me. You'll notice the grass reacts to me while the plant doesn't. The flower doesn't. So collision on is probably a good way to go. It will limit the amount of time that it can spawn on your map, but I mean, you can get a very well populated little environment with very little work. I mean, this sitting just to do this area we're looking at right now would have taken me hours to get the same result, and it probably would have used up more resources, although it does end up using a lot of terrain resources. Building up a map with your own heart map, but you know, I've really enjoyed this. I think this is great. I'm having fun again. Yeah, so based on what you saw, I feel like we're heading in a much better direction. Generating a terrain in the beginning is a much better way to go. The world is feeling a lot more organic, a lot more realistic. It's populated nicely as well with the foliage generator. I've got my paint presets that I still need to work on a little bit and refine and get those looking nice. And next week this time, I'm gonna get those. I'm gonna have a real world with different zones, and it's going to look even better, hopefully. Feeling positive. I'm feeling quite happy with the way things have turned out. I think going back to the drawing board last week was the right way to go. Starting to have fun again, which is good. Hopefully these videos will be a bit more fun as a result. And yeah, just let me know which intro video you like the best. But enjoy your weekend, and I'll see you next week. Cheers.